From a young age, I was taught about the dangers of the internet from my school. We were made to sit through assemblies of internet safety and watch a short film of a teen being blackmailed because she had sent pictures of herself online to someone she didn't actually know.
Hi, is that Jade? Yeah, it's Justin here. Remember me, sweetheart? Did you do what I asked? Good girl. Leave it under the bush. Oh, poor thing. She looks so distressed. She shouldn't be. I told her no harm will come to her as long as she does what I say. And so far, she's obliged.
This was something that always seemed like fiction until I came across this case. So grab yourself a mocha as we unpack the case of Matthew Falder. October 24th, 1988, in Manchester, England, Matthew Falder was born. Growing up, he was a normal child and actually excelled at school. So much so that when he had finished secondary school, he went on to attend Clare College of the University of Cambridge, where he specialised in seismic oceanography, earning master's and doctoral degrees in his field. He later went on to become a postdoctoral researcher and lecturer in geophysics at the University of Birmingham. During his time as a student, however, he had a dark secret that seemed to begin in 2007, when he was 18 to 19 years old. He began to show signs of sexual deviancy. He began to engage in the act of voyeurism. He would secretly record his university housemates in the shared bathroom. He told his housemate what he was doing at the time. She laughed it off, thinking he was just being outlandish and joking. Around 2 years later, in 2009, Matthew took his sexual deviancy online and found the culture of hurtcore. This is where someone derives pleasure from the pain of a victim. It is mainly looked at as a subculture of paedophilia, but it is applied to rape/sexual assault victims. He tricked his victims into sending naked pictures, which he then used to blackmail them into sending increasingly severe and depraved abuse images of themselves. Most of the time, he would pose as a young woman called Liz on forums and mainstream online advertising sites. He pretended to be a female artist on sites like Gumtree, where he manipulated victims into sending him naked or partially clothed images of themselves. He then distributed the images, including some which showed babies and children being tortured on the dark web. His sole purpose was to degrade and humiliate his victims, which included men, women, and children from the ages of the early teens to 30s. In April 2015, the National Crime Agency found 3 accounts on hurtcore websites of the dark web that was posting regularly: 666 Devil, In the Garden, and Evil Mind. The NCA brought in GCHQ, the Government Communication Headquarters, US Homeland Security, Europol, Australian Federal Police, New Zealand Police, and the Israel Police. After a complex investigation, which details have not been released to the public due to the tactics that are still used today, they found that all 3 accounts belonged to Matthew Falder. On the 16th of October 2017, Matthew was arrested at his place of work.
So what was it I've done? Oh, what was it I'm supposed to have done? So,
the offences that I've arrested you on suspicion of being involved in were blackmail, causing or inciting a child to engage in sexual activity, possessing indecent images of children.
Sounds like the rap sheet from hell.
Distributing indecent images of children, and causing GBH injuries to a person.
The police had a solid case against him already. However, when they gained access to his phone and computer, they found even more. He had over 70 online identities, and police found over 50 victims, the youngest being only 14. Looking through messages and interactions with this girl, he told her he would willingly mentally fuck her up and when posting on forums about the girl, he stated, "I'm not sure I care if she lives or dies." He increased the pressure on his victims, at least 4 of whom attempted suicide. When one of his victims pleaded for the abuse to end or else they would kill themselves, he replied that the images he already had on them would be circulated on the internet anyway. Matthew Falder maintained to both his victims and the hurtful forums that he could not be caught and said he did not care if the victims lived or died. The NCA detailed crimes such as blackmailing people into eating feces, licking toilet seats and tampons, and persuading people to eat dog food. They described him as one of the most prolific and depraved offenders they had ever encountered. They even found that he blackmailed someone into raping a 4-year-old child. Originally, Matthew Falder pleaded not guilty to the 188 charges that the police had brought against him.
Have you done that?
No comment.
Have you sent pictures of your blackmail victims to the parents?
No comment.
Of the victim, the grandparents?
No comment.
The workplace?
However, after he realised how much evidence was mounted against him, he pleaded guilty to 137 charges against over 50 victims, which included encouraging the rape of a child, blackmail, voyeurism, making and distributing indecent images of children. When his charges were read out at Birmingham Crown Court, it took over 30 minutes. He was sentenced to 32 years in prison in February 2018, which is the longest prison sentence given out in UK history for sex crimes. The Court of Appeal later reduced the term of imprisonment to 25 years, with an extended licence of 8 years. The Crown Prosecution Service stated, "Matthew Falder is a highly manipulative individual who clearly enjoyed humiliating his many victims, and the impact of his offending in this case has been significant. He deliberately targeted young and vulnerable victims. At least 3 victims are known to have attempted suicide, and some have inflicted self-harm." Police officer Matt Sutton said, "In more than 30 years of law enforcement, I've never come across an offender whose sole motivation was to inflict such profound anguish and pain. Matthew Falder revelled in it. I've also never known such an extremely complex investigation with an offender who is technologically savvy and able to stay hidden in the darkest recesses of the dark web. I commend the victims for their bravery, and I urge anyone who is being abused online to report it. There is help available." Due to the nature of this case, this video is a shorter one, but that was the case of the UK's most prolific sex offender, Matthew Falder. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified of my next true crime case, and like the video if you did like the video. Comment down below if you have any cases you would like me to look into. It could be my next one.